Anya. How long are you going to do this? I'm asking you, how long do you want to be depressed in bed? Lunar, calm down. Don't stop me, Chloe. Anya, Freya-sama is seer, right? So even if you want to hit her, you have to ask what's going on. What are you talking about, silly cat? Lunar, calm down. Get up soon. Lunar. We are leaving. You are so depressed you will die for the rest of your life. The door was flung open. As if to show the girl's pain and indignation, the whole room made noise, and the two people's breathing lingered. Anya. Meows are going to participate in the war game today, meow. Anya, don't you want the tavern to go back to how it was before, meow? I hope so, then I'll go first. So there was only one sigh left. The door was closed and Anya crouched down on the bed and hugged her knees tightly. Lunar is great. Chloe is also great. Anya could fight no longer. Alan is very scary. Goddess Freya is very scary. What's going on, I don't know. I can't even muster up the courage to know that. Lunar was right. Anya was still that lost kitten, rotting away and getting nowhere on her own. Anya lowered her head in disappointment with herself. Right now. Hey. The door was opened rudely, and someone approached the bed without hesitation. The crass tone is almost exactly the same as the familiar characters, very similar. Anya's shoulders, with her face buried in her knees, shook. Brother? The lost kitten lifted her head, shaking. In another place. Standing on the massive city wall in the east, a layer of white flames silently burned. Large beads of sweat broke out on my face as I felt the sky lift away the darkness and begin to turn white. Hey Dash! A moment later, sweat and several strands of hair were blown away by the impossibly large dual blades. My eyes widened, I held my breath and my limbs kept moving. With my body in a great horizontal position, I kicked the ground twice as if I was dancing, and shook the white ghost I was holding in my right hand with the momentum of a roundabout. This is numerical violence woven through the ability scores of strength and agility. At first glance it was outrageous and I would never have made such a move before. But the skill called LV5 made this a reality by combining evasion and attack into one. Better not get carried away by skill points. However, the opponent in front of him defeated this berserk power with a higher level of unreasonable. The opponent uses incredible dynamic vision and courage, as expected of Amazon warriors. With the strength of my wrist, I actually grabbed my attacking right wrist and rotated it towards my back. I not only drew a circular arc in the air, but even bounced like a ball after landing. After almost being crushed to the ground, I hit the growing grass with one hand. Using the reaction to forcibly restore his stance, at the same time, he kicked towards the wall that was getting closer and closer and jumped to the side. In the face of the twin sisters combo, I gave a shout from the dantian and counterattacked. The base, Hestia Familia, before dawn. The training with Miss Tiona and Miss Tione in this atrium has also been held countless times. It was a few days ago that the two of them came to Stove Firehouse, all of a sudden. Hearing the request, I want to help Argo Koen, Dea-sama and I were both surprised, and I accepted Mr. Finn to be Lily's teacher, just let them accompany you to make adjustments. One suggestion, I have been fighting in the base area until now. If you want to exercise, it would be better to go to the huge city wall like Miss A's, or go to the dungeon, but Miss Tione pointed out, whether it's the exercise place or the resting place, it's a waste of time to be going and coming between the weather and getting ready for the exercise, so we immediately decided to do this right in the middle of this base. Go ahead. The atrium is definitely not wide enough to allow first-year adventurers to make noise in it. The grass was dug up, and the planted flowers and plants became dilapidated. The pillars of the stone lamps were broken. Lily's fury would thunder over the repair bills that would follow, but I'm in no mood to take that into consideration right now. Conscience simply has no right to think of anything else. It's training, but to be blunt, fighting first-year adventurers is just that. Move your body first. Then use your head. Otherwise, you won't be able to keep up with the battles between first-tier adventurers. The Freya family's attack is even more violent than that. The newly wounded hands and feet creaked. Even the bone marrow was quivering and numb. Kekrik's sharp combination and the double great blade's heavy strike made me tremble, who was passively defending. The attack vortex, which can only be described as raging waves, kept pushing me into a corner. Nearly 90% of counterattacks were defeated, and only ugly evasion was the last line of defense to keep my life. I've thrown kicks like cannonballs so hard I marveled only to be dodged off elbows so easily I felt like I was in a bad dream. As first-year adventurers, Miss Tiona are far beyond mine. Therefore, this result is taken for granted. It is a fact that Bel Cranel is beaten every day. Think of the training you and A's did. Skills and strategies should have been carved into your hands and feet. Don't get carried away by skill points. Don't rush to aim for the flaw, by the way, it's all longing, that person told me. Now I'm at level 5, so it's time to get my original intent back. Connect value and skill. Combine weapons and strategy with skills to resonate between container and heart. Grow bigger, Yukai no Kazuchi. At that moment, the sound of rescue and protection hit my scarred back. In a corner of the atrium, Haruheim, who was kneeling on the floor now, got up and finished the chant. She shed as much sweat as I did, squeezed out all her mental power and gave her a higher level. I gripped the reins tightly, controlled the rapidly increasing skill points, and fought back. As the light particles surrounding the entire body increased in speed, the dazzling white and black daggers glowed in both hands. Using technique, the side of the attacking weapon deflected its trajectory and all of Miss Tione's blows were countered. So, he intentionally exposed his flaws to lure the opponent into the attack, using strategy to take advantage of Miss Tione's momentary gap. He vigorously swung the goddess dagger in his left hand. Really, one shot. Miss Tiona took it from the front, opened her eyes, smiled, and then flew back along with the great dual blades. The resulting impact vibrated the ultra-hard metal of the twin great blades, making a crackling sound. It's the first time I've heard such a comforting sound since I started training. The sound was like a sharp tuning fork, spreading through the base atrium. Hey! Mr. Argo, how are you? Good. Panting, I placed the two daggers in their sheath, opened my hands several times, then squeezed them tightly. The bypass is gone. Every time we level up, we will always have body and mind bypass. That is, the mind cannot keep up with the physical capacity that has changed too much. Maybe it's because I haven't been adventurous for a long time, I'm not mature enough, and I always take too long to make up for the deviation. As in that expedition, 2 months ago. Therefore, the purpose of this exercise is not to constantly seek to get stronger in practice, but to tune to eliminate the drift of the body and mind, as Mr. Finn said. In the end, it finally took shape. The feeling of insecurity disappeared. You too, thank you for accompanying us. I've heard rumors many times, this magic is really powerful. Miss Tione, who was smiling, praised Miss Haruheim, who could roll her eyes and pass out on the floor at any moment. In addition to me in the faction, Miss Haruheim has also completed sublimation, and she has been participating in this adjustment since a few days ago. Compared to physical movements, her focus is on adjusting the level of sublimation. After becoming level 2, the duration of 15 minutes increased to 20 minutes, and the cooldown needed to activate the next magic was also reduced from 10 minutes to 9 minutes. Of course, the maximum number of tails has also increased from 5 to 6. Miss Haruheim's strength will undoubtedly be the key to the war game. Lily also said to her red eyes after staying up all night, "Please continue experimenting for a moment, now you don't have to worry about insufficient preparations in the early stage." I also tried the move similar to LV6, which is very important. There is a bypass right after becoming LV5. If the level sublimation effect is added, it can really get out of control, no kidding. In fact, although the analogy is a bit strange, this dragon power is really complicated. It was also thanks to Miss Tiona and the others that I was able to fully understand him. For the simulated battle of the first level adventurers, and such an adjustment, I'm afraid that only level 6, Miss Tiona and the others can do it. I cannot thank them enough for their kindness. It would be nice if A's could train with Argo-kun and you. Speaking of Miss A's who is not here, I shook my head. Although I don't know exactly what happened, but this person's teachings are deeply rooted in my heart. I got her help in this training and in that battle in the desert. So, I will take teachings from her to face the war game. The sunrise. Miss Haruheim looked up and said softly. Even though this is the atrium surrounded by the guild halls, the day has already revealed its face. After all, the sky is so red. This would make people mistakenly think that it is already dusk. Today is the 3rd day of training. And the day of war games. Finally ushered in this fateful day, my heart first calmed down, then suddenly began to beat violently. Mr. Argo. Without the slightest emotion, I felt the restlessness and tension in the depths of my heart, and I looked up at the sky, at this moment. Miss Tiona and Miss Tione walked over and smiled at me and Miss Haruheim. "Let's go. Shoot, Freya's family, with one punch." Seeing Sun smile and hearing the rough and cheerful words, Miss Haruheim and I looked at each other. Feeling redeemed. We nodded, and then smiled back for the love of the goddess and Lily.